Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take interesting topics and, well, really get into them. You're tuning in because you want the knowledge without spending ages finding it, and that's what we do. Today, we're setting off on a journey into the really captivating history of one of Scotland's most famous kindred groups.
That's right. And we've got a brilliant resource to help us. We've been reading Clan MacDonald, a brand new book from bagtownclans.com. It's part of their Ancient Clans of Scotland series, and honestly, it's a fantastic read.
Oh, yeah. What makes it so good?
It just covers so much ground. Their ancient roots, key historical moments, traditions, what the tartans mean, even some really intriguing local legends. It's all in there.
Sounds comprehensive. And the exciting part for you listening is, if this chat gets you interested, and I bet it will, you can actually get this book yourself. Clan MacDonald is out now on Amazon. We've dropped a direct link right into the description below, so it's super easy to find.
Definitely worth grabbing a copy if you want the full story.
Seriously, if you want to properly immerse yourself in the world of Clan Donald, this book is the way to go. It's just packed with detail, brings the whole thing to life.
Absolutely. The listener who suggested this actually shared the book with us. So our mission, like always, is to pull out the most compelling bits and share them with you.
Right then. Let's not waste any more time. Let's dive straight into the story of Clan Donald.
Okay.
So first things first, we hear clan used all the time regarding Scotland. But what exactly is a clan, fundamentally?
Right. Well, the book explains the word clan actually comes from the Gaelic clan.
Clan.
Yeah, C-L-A-N-N. And it literally just means children. So at its core, it's about a large group of people, a kinship group. They saw themselves as related, often believing they descended from a common ancestor. That shared kinship was really the foundation.
Okay, so like a massive extended family network. But the book says it wasn't just about blood relations, right?
That's a really important point they make, yeah. Clan membership wasn't only biological. Individuals, even whole families, could join a clan. Maybe they needed protection or access to land, or they just, wanted to pledge loyalty to a strong chief.
Oh, interesting.
And over time, these adopted members became fully part of the clan structure, shared the good times, the bad times, the responsibilities.
So it's political and social, too, not just family.
Exactly. It shows how a clan worked on multiple levels.
That makes sense. It wasn't just about who your parents were, but where you found your sort of community and loyalty. And I guess that created some incredibly strong bonds within the group.
Absolutely. The core values were mutual support, fierce loyalty to the chief, to each other, and this deep sense of shared identity, shared honor. Everyone had a part to play.
Okay. Now, this system wasn't just a loose collection of people, surely. There must have been some kind of structure.
Oh, definitely. Clan MacDonald, like the other big Highland clans, had a pretty clear hierarchy. Right at the top, you had the chief.
The Shan Synod in Gaelic?
Shan Synod, yeah, means head of the kindred. The book really stresses the chief's role, ultimate authority, led them in war, protected clan members, settled disputes, represented the clan outside.
The big boss, basically. Leader and figurehead. And below the chief, how was it organized then?
Well, below the chief, you had the chieftains. They usually headed up the different branches or septs within the bigger clan, often based in specific areas.
Like regional leaders?
Sort of, yeah. Usually close relatives of the chief, held a lot of local sway, led their own followers, but still loyal to the main chief. Then you had the tacksmen.
Tacksmen?
Yeah, think of them as like major leaseholders. They rented large chunks of land directly from the chief or a chieftain. They were crucial for managing the land, collecting rent, keeping order locally, and importantly, raising fighting men when the call came. Big part of the clan's economic and military setup.
Right, kind of like middle management, managing resources and people. What about the cultural side? The book mentions bards and Shenandoahs. What did they do?
Ah, yes, vital roles. They were the keepers of the clan's culture and memory. The bards, especially families like the MacMurrichs, were the poets, the storytellers in verse, the musicians. They composed and performed songs about the clan's victories, its history, its heroes, kept the narrative alive through oral tradition.
So they were like the living history books through song and story. And the Shenandoahs. That sounds like history, too.
You got it. Shenandoahs were the clan historians and genealogists. Their job was super important record and recite the chief's lineage, the important families, key events, laws, customs.
Wow.
Yeah, they often had formal roles. Their knowledge was key for social order, settling arguments based on, who was related to who and what had happened before.
And pipers. Can't forget the pipers.
Absolutely not. The pipers used the bagpipes, that iconic sound, to rally the warriors, celebrate wins, provide music for big clan events. The book specifically points out Pio Bairich Domnell Du as this really powerful, complex signature tune for Clan Donald, deeply tied to their identity.
It sounds like a whole complex system. Everyone with a specific role adding to the clan's strength and culture. What about the warriors? The Fine and Gilquois. They sound pretty serious.
The Fine were the warrior elite, highly skilled fighters, often from the clan nobility, the core military strength leading the charge. Think of them as the special forces of the time.
Okay. And the Gilquois.
Gilquois means lad of the foot. These were hand-picked elite warriors, specifically assigned as personal bodyguards for the chief, day-to-day life, battlefield, everywhere.
A personal protection detail. Makes sense for the chief.
Their loyalty and fighting skill were absolutely essential for keeping the chief safe.
Got it. The book also mentions septs. What were septs in the Clan Donald context?
Right. Septs were basically associated families. They didn't necessarily have the MacDonald surname, but they were historically linked to the clan.
How did that happen?
Various ways. Marriage, maybe they held land under the MacDonalds, or they just sought the protection of a powerful MacDonald chief. Over time, maybe their names changed, but they still saw themselves as part of the wider Clan Donald community, loyal to the chief.
Okay, so a wider network beyond just the MacDonald name. Allied families looking to Clan Donald. Right, let's get into the origins. Where did this powerful clan actually come from?
Okay, the book lays out both the traditional stories and the historical record. Tradition-wise, the MacDonalds claimed a really prestigious lineage.
Yeah.
They trace their ancestry way back to Conn of the Hundred Battles, a legendary High King of Ireland, through a 4th century warrior king called Calla Uis. This connection gave them the title Seol Chwyn, Seed of Conn, claiming ancient royal blood, basically.
Wow, talk about aiming high.
Yeah.
What about the more historically solid foundations?
Historically, the real roots of Clan Donald trace back to Somerled. He was a major figure in the 12th century of mixed Norse and Gaelic descent. He rose to power by challenging and eventually pushing back Norse control along Scotland's west coast. He established what became the Lordship of the Isles.
Okay, and is that where the name MacDonald comes from?
Exactly. MacDonald comes from the Gaelic MacDomnail, meaning son of Donald.
Son of Donald.
Yes, and that Donald was Somerled's grandson, Domnall Mac Ragnail. Fun fact, the name Domnall itself means world ruler in Old Gaelic.
World ruler. Quite fitting, given their later power.
Isn't it? The early MacDonalds really embraced both their Gaelic and Norse sides, and their connection to the ancient kingdom of Dalriada also boosted their standing in Highland tradition.
So Somerled's grandson Donald really kicks off the MacDonald line proper. Who were the key figures in their early rise?
The book points to a few crucial people. Donald of Islay himself, the namesake, was key in consolidating their early lands. His son, Angus More, in the 13th century, held big territories in the Isles and, importantly, pledged loyalty to King Alexander III after the Hebrides became Scottish. But it was Angus More's younger son, Angus Og, who really put the clan on the national map.
Angus Og, yeah, that name rings a bell from Scottish history. What was his big contribution?
Angus Og was a massive supporter of Robert the Bruce during the Wars of Independence, a really key ally. He's even said to have sheltered Bruce at Dunaverty Castle when Bruce was on the run.
Wow.
But most importantly, Angus Og led a large force of MacDonald warriors at the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314.
A crucial battle.
Absolutely crucial. A huge victory securing Scotland's independence. And as a reward for his loyalty and help, Robert the Bruce gave him massive land grants. Glencoe, Lochaber, Morvern. So by the 14th century, thanks largely to Angus Og, Clan MacDonald was dominant in the West Highlands and Islands.
So loyalty and picking the right side really paid off. And this leads us to the Lordship of the Isles, right?
Directly. Angus Og's son, John of Islay, often called Good John, is seen as the first official Lord of the Isles. His marriages were incredibly strategic. First, he married Amy MacCreary, heiress of Garmarin, which brought huge lands in the Outer Hebrides under MacDonald control.
Smart move.
Very. Then later, he married Margaret Stuart, daughter of King Robert II. That got him royal favor, more charters, strengthened their position even further. Under Good John, the MacDonalds had almost unprecedented power. They basically acted like independent rulers across Scotland's western seaboard.
Practically their own kingdom within the kingdom.
In many ways, yes. The book really highlights how adaptable they were, culturally and politically. As Lords of the Isles, they managed to blend their traditional Gaelic ways with the wider Scottish feudal
A
system.
tricky balancing act.
Definitely. But it allowed them to effectively rule their huge territories, mainland and islands, earning respect and sometimes fear from Highland neighbors and lowland kings alike.
Fascinating. Now, where exactly was this massive power base? What were their key lands and strongholds?
Well, the book describes this vast sea kingdom. The heartland was the lordship of the Isles itself. That included crucial islands like Islay, where Finlagin, their sort of administrative center, was,
Paisley. Got it.
plus Skye, Mull, Tiree, Call, Uist, Barra, parts of Lewis. Controlling these islands meant they controlled the vital sea routes.
A true maritime empire.
Yeah.
What about mainland territory? Was that just as big?
Pretty substantial, yeah. On the mainland, they held large areas of the Highlands, Lahiber, Glencoe, Moydart, Ariseg, Morar, Knoydart, Ardmurchan Peninsula.
Wow, that's a lot.
These lands gave them resources, but also strategic, often remote and rugged strongholds. Their influence even stretched into parts of Ross-shire and Inverness-shire.
So a major power by land and sea, a huge player in Scottish politics. The book also mentions Kintyre and Knapdale.
Yes, they inherited control of Kintyre and Knapdale peninsulas their ancestor Somerled had held. Strategically vital, controlling sea lanes to Ireland. And from Kintyre, the MacDonalds of Duniveg pushed across the sea into Ulster. That's where the MacDonalds of Antrim set up shop, built the amazing Dunluce Castle right on the cliffs.
So an Irish branch, too.
Yeah, and the Scottish and Irish branches kept close ties, shared Gaelic culture, often worked together.
But this powerful, almost independent rule, it didn't last forever, did it? The book talks about the forfeiture of the Lordship of the Isles. What happened there?
Yeah, that's a huge turning point. Basically, over time, the Lords of the Isles' power and independence clashed more and more with the Scottish Crown's ambitions. There were rebellions, challenges to royal authority. It all came to a head in 1493. The lordship was forfeited.
Forfeited.
Meaning the crown seized most of their vast lands, and often redistributed them, notably to the rising Clan Campbell. This completely changed the power balance in the Highlands.
A massive upheaval. But even after losing the lordship, are there still physical reminders of their power we can see? Castles and things.
Oh, absolutely. The book points out several surviving castles and ruins that really speak to their past influence. Finlagin on Islay, now a historical site, still has that central feel. Then there's Dunived Castle, also on Islay. Castle Tuarim in Moydart, really dramatic. That was the Clan Ranald seat.
I've seen pictures of Tuarim. Incredible location.
Isn't it? Then Duntum Castle on Skye, now a ruin full of legends. Invergary Castle overlooking Loch Waich. And Armadale Castle on Skye, later built, but now home to the brilliant Clandonald Centre and Museum of the Isles.
The museum dedicated to them.
Yeah, fantastic resource. And even over in Northern Ireland, Dunluce Castle is still this striking symbol of the MacDonalds of Antrim.
So even ruins tell a powerful story. Now, Clandonald isn't just one single group, is it? It's split into many branches. The book lists quite a few.
That's right. What started as the unified lordship eventually branched out into several major independent kindreds, each with its own history, leaders, territory. The book covers the main ones. The MacDonalds of Sleat, they're generally seen as the senior surviving line. The current High Chief of Clandonald comes from Sleat.
Okay, the senior branch. Who else?
Then you have Clan Ranald, known for sticking to Gaelic traditions and playing a big part in the Jacobite risings. The MacDonalds of Glengarry, also strong Jacobites, famous for their fierce Highland spirit.
Right.
The MacDonalds of Keppoch, known for being fiercely independent. The MacDonalds of Glencoe, sadly famous for the 1692 massacre. And the MacDonalds of Duniveg and Antrim, who became Earls of Antrim in Ireland.
That's quite a spread, a diverse family tree. And the book mentions even more, doesn't it? Smaller branches.
It does, yeah. Like the McCains of Ardnamurchan, the McAllisters of Loop, who eventually became their own separate clan, and the MacDonalds of Lochulsh. Just shows how widespread they were.
A huge network, all connected back to that original Clandonald. So how did all these different groups identify themselves visually? What were the main symbols for Clandonald?
Well, each clan developed symbols over time. For Clandonald collectively, the book highlights a few key ones. The clan crest badge is pretty striking. A mailed fist holding a crosslet.
Crosslet.
Yeah, a cross with smaller crosses on the ends of its arms. And this is surrounded by a buckled belt with their motto, per mare, per terrace.
By sea and by land? That really fits them, doesn't it, given their history?
Perfectly. It sums up their power and reach.
What about a plant? Do they have a clan plant?
They do. Common heather, Froesia's Gaelic. It's everywhere in the Highlands, resilient, fragrant, a great symbol of their connection to the land and their enduring spirit.
Heather. Makes total sense. And their coat of arms, I imagine that's quite impressive.
It is. The traditional heraldic arms for Clandonald feature a black galley, a lymphet specifically.
A lymphat.
Yeah, it's a type of single-masted ship common in the Hebrides back then, shown on a silver background, oars out, sails furled sometimes. Really powerful symbol of their sea power, their rule over the Isles.
The galley. Instantly screams maritime dominance.
Yeah.
And we already mentioned their pipe tune, Pio Beer reached Dumnail Dew.
Right, that complex, evocative piece honoring a famous chief. The book also mentions the chief's Gaelic title. For the Sleat chief, the senior line, it's Mac Eisdine.
Mac Eisdine, meaning.
Son of Hugh. And interestingly, the other main branches had their own distinct Gaelic titles too, like Mac McAllister for Glengarry, Mac McAline for Clanranald. Reflects their own lineage and importance.
So a whole collection of symbols, visual, auditory, creating this rich identity for Clandonald and its branches. We talked about the motto, per mare, per terrace. What about their battle cry? Did the book cover that?
It did. The main battle cry was a stirring Gaelic phrase, Froch Eilean,
Froch Eilean.
which means Heather Isle.
Ah, like the plant badge.
Exactly. It connects strongly to their identity. It's thought to refer to a small, heather-covered island in Loch Lynn. Apparently, it was a traditional rallying point for MacDonald warriors before a fight.
Heather Isle. You can almost imagine hearing that shouted across a battlefield. Did the individual branches have their own cries too?
Yes, the book mentions that, showing how distinct some branches were. For example, the MacDonalds of Glengarry used Krieg and Fittich.
Which means?
The Raven's Rock, pretty fearsome image. And the MacDonalds of Keppoch apparently shouted, Dias Nomom Andreas.
God and St. Andrew.
Exactly, showing their faith and connection to Scotland's patron saint.
So united as Clandonald, but with their own unique rallying calls too. Fascinating detail. Now, probably the most recognizable clan symbol for many people is the tartan. Clandonald must have loads, given all the branches.
You are absolutely right. Clandonald has one of the biggest collections of tartans in Scotland. It directly reflects all those powerful branches. And while maybe the exact patterns were standardized later, the associations often go way back, linked to specific areas or families.
And the main one, representing everyone, is the MacDonald of the Isles tartan.
That's the one. It's got that bold pattern, deep red and green, with strong black lines over it. Red, often seen as symbolizing their warrior past, green for the Highland landscape. Generally, anyone connected to Clandonald can wear this one to show their overall heritage.
Okay. What about some of those main branches we talked about? Sleat, Clanranald, Glengarry. Do they have their own distinct patterns?
They do, yes. Sleat tartan is similar to the Isles one, but with subtle differences in the strike spacing. Clanranald tartan also uses red and green, but adds navy blue, black, and thin white stripes, and importantly, no yellow.
No yellow in Clanranald. Interesting.
Yeah. Glengarry tartan is really striking a bold red and black check, often linked to their military tradition, worn with the Glengarry bonnet, of course.
Ah, the bonnet connection.
And Keppoch tartan is a variation of the Isles pattern, but with more emphasis on the red, reflecting their reputation as fierce warriors.
It's amazing how these woven patterns carry so much history and identity. The book mentions dress and hunting tartans, too.
Correct. Like many clans, they have variations. Dress tartans usually have a lot of white in the background, makes the colors brighter, more formal for special occasions. Hunting tartans use more muted, earthy colors, greens, browns, blues, designed to blend in with the landscape for, well, hunting and being outdoors.
Practicality alongside ceremony. Makes sense.
Right.
Lastly, on tartans, the book warns about unofficial ones.
Yeah, it's a good point for anyone wanting to be accurate. There might be lots of tartans out there called Donald something, but only those with real historical roots or officially recognized by clan societies should be seen as authentic.
Good advice. Always best to check the official sources. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The book also gets into the more mystical side, folklore, supernatural tales. Sounds fascinating.
Oh, it really is. Scottish clans have such rich folklore, and Clandonald is no exception. Some really eerie stories. One is the Piper's Lament at Duntrim Castle. Now, Duntrim ended up being Campbell territory, but there's a MacDonald ghost story attached.
Go on.
Legend says a MacDonald piper was captured there. His hands were cut off so he couldn't pipe a warning to his clan. His ghost is said to haunt the place. Eerie pipe music is heard. And apparently a handless skeleton was even found during renovations.
That's gruesome. Really unsettling. What other spooky stuff does the book mention?
Well, there's the Conniag of Glencoe, a female spirit, a keening woman, whose wailing was supposedly heard in the glen just before the 1692 massacre. A chilling omen.
Wow.
Then there's the ghost of Hugh MacDonald at Duntham Castle on Skye. He plotted to become chief, got caught, and was starved to death in the dungeon. People still report whispers, footsteps in the ruins.
These tales really add another dimension, don't they? A glimpse into the fears and beliefs back then. Any other notable ghost stories?
There's the Well of the Seven Heads near Lochhoich, grim story. Supposedly, the severed heads of 7 murderers from the Keppoch branch were washed there.
Charming.
Right. Some say the ground there feels unnaturally cold. People have bad dreams after visiting. The book also lists loads more. A phantom galley seen off Moydart, moaning stones at Invergary, a shadowy huntsman in Neudart, vanishing isles only seen by dying MacDonalds, a cursed chair, a protective spirit at Armadale, voices near Castle Tuorum, a phantom battle near Mulroy, even an old gray dog whose appearance foretells death.
Okay, that's quite a list. It really shows how deeply connected they were to their lands, their history, and all the turbulent events that happened. Speaking of turbulent, blood feuds, the book covers those too, I imagine.
Oh, yes. Clan Donald was involved in some significant, often violent feuds. The rivalry with Clan Campbell is probably the most famous, and one of the longest and bloodiest in Highland history.
Why was it so bad?
A lot stemmed from the MacDonalds losing the lordship of the Isles in 1493, and the Campbells gaining much of their land and power afterwards. It led to centuries of conflict, culminating, of course, in the Glencoe Massacre in 1692. That event still resonates today.
A feud that really scarred Scottish history. Were there other major clan rivalries involving the MacDonalds?
Definitely. They had long-running, often nasty conflicts with Clan MacLeod over lands and Skye in the Isles. Horrible incidents like a massacre on Egg, the MacLeods burning a church full of MacDonalds.
Terrible.
They also clashed repeatedly with Clan Mackenzie over territory in Ross-shire, and the Isles. The Mackenzies destroyed Castle Strome, for instance, and frequent bloody disputes with Clan Maclean and the Hebrides over land, fishing rights, that sort of thing.
So constant competition for land and power leading to violence. But the book also mentions internal feuds, conflicts within Clan Donald.
Sadly, yes. It wasn't all external conflict. The Keppoch murders in 1663 are a stark example. The chief of Keppoch and his brother were murdered by their own relatives. Shows the danger of internal splits. And even earlier, around 1480, there was the Battle of Bloody Bay, a fierce sea battle where John, Lord of the Isles, had to fight a rebellion led by his own son, Angus Egg. That really destabilized things.
Son against father. A reminder that power struggles happen everywhere. All this fighting must mean a long list of battles in their history. The book lists them right.
It does. A comprehensive list spanning centuries. Starts way back with the Battle of Renfrew in 1164, where Somerled himself died. Goes through Bannockburn, where they fought with Bruce. Harlaw in 1411, a huge, bloody, but inconclusive fight. Numerous battles against other clans in Inverlochie, Grunart Strand, internal fights like Bloody Bay. The list covers battles right up into the 18th century. They were consistently involved in Scotland's military history.
A long and often violent history. And of course, one of the most famous and ultimately tragic battles for the Highland clans was Culloden in 1746. The book discusses the MacDonalds' role there.
Yes, it does. Clan Donald fought for the Jacobites at Culloden, trying to put the Stuarts back on the throne. But there was a huge issue for them. They were placed on the left wing of the Jacobite army. Their traditional place of honor was always the right wing.
That was seen as an insult.
A major insult, yes. Some historians think it really damaged their morale before the battle even started. Regardless, they did charge bravely across that awful moor under heavy government cannon fire. But it was hopeless. Alexander MacDonald of Keppoch's supposed last words, "My God, have the children of my clan forsaken me," as he fell, just captures the tragedy and chaos of it all.
Heartbreaking. And the aftermath of Culloden was devastating for Clan Donald and the whole Highland way of life, wasn't it?
Absolutely devastating. After the defeat, many MacDonalds faced terrible persecution, jail, hiding out in the hills, exile. The government systematically dismantled the clan system. Taxmen lost their authority. Gaelic language and culture were suppressed. Branches like Glengarry and Clanranald suffered huge losses, lives, and lands. And this is when large-scale emigration really started, many MacDonalds heading to the Americas and elsewhere to find a new life.
A massive turning point. Changed everything for the Highlands and for Clan Donald. Now, the book has a section on strange and unusual facts, too. Sounds a bit lighter.
It is some fun, surprising things. Like, it makes it very clear Absolutely no connection between Clan Donald of Scotland and MacDonald's hamburgers.
Okay, good to clarify.
Definitely. It also mentions the theory that the Glencoe massacre might have inspired the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones.
Ah, I've heard that. A dark link between history and fantasy. What other odd facts were there?
There's the story of the footprint oath at Finlaggan. The new Lord of the Isles had to place his foot in a carved stone footprint. If it didn't fit perfectly, it was a bad omen for his rule.
Weird.
Yeah, and the haunting of Duntham Castle, apparently it got so bad the castle was just abandoned. Also, the complex story of Flora MacDonald helped Bonnie Prince Charlie escape, but later supported the British government.
Right, she had a complicated life.
And genetics. Apparently, modern Clan Donald members trace back to at least two main male lines, one Norse, one Gaelic, shows a more mixed heritage than just the traditional stories suggest.
That is interesting, a blend of origin.
Oh, and Colaseotac MacDonald, one of the Duniveg branch, known as one of the Pirates of the Hebrides, and the bizarre tale of Ranald MacDonald becoming the first native English teacher in Japan in the mid-19th century.
Wow, from the Highlands to Japan. Quite a journey. These facts really add some color. Finally, the book talks about the MacDonald diaspora people spreading around the world and the clan societies today.
Yes, the diaspora really took off after the conflicts, the Jacobite rebellions, and especially the Highland clearances. Many MacDonalds were forced out or chose to leave. They established significant communities all over North America, especially Glengarry County in Ontario, Canada, Nova Scotia, PEI, Cape Breton, North Carolina in the U.S.
Strong connections there still.
Very strong. Also Australia, and notably the Waipu settlement in New Zealand, founded largely by Scottish migrants, including many MacDonalds. Even the Caribbean had a MacDonald presence. And the great thing is, today there are active Clan Donald societies all over the world. USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Scotland, keeping the heritage alive, connecting descendants. The book is website details too, so if you're interested, you can look them up and connect.
It's really wonderful that the history and culture are still so vibrant and connecting people globally. Well, this has been an absolutely brilliant deep dive. So much information packed into that book, Clan MacDonald.
It really is an excellent resource if you have any interest in Scottish history, Highland culture, or maybe even think you have MacDonald roots. It's well worth reading. It covers everything: the power, the structure, the symbols, the drama, the global legacy.
And remember, you can explore it all yourself. Clan MacDonald is available right now on Amazon. The link is waiting for you in the description below. Definitely check it out.
You know, thinking about their whole story, from being these powerful sea lords to being scattered across the globe by conflict and clearances, it really makes you think about cultural resilience, doesn't it?
It does.
How does that sense of shared identity, that connection to heritage, manage to survive through centuries across vast distances? It's quite powerful. What part of the Clan Donald story really sticks with you? Something to ponder, perhaps.
A great final thought. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to exploring another fascinating topic with you next time.